What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Ashton Jackson, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Tyron Smith and him not being no longer a Dallas Cowboy. What does our offensive line look without him? And then I'm also going to be talking about the release of Kendricks and why that is such an obvious move for the Dallas Cowboys to sign him, if that is to go down start of the new league year in March 18th or 16th. So before we get on to the video, I appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. Yeah, man, so hopping straight into it. Just to clarify, free agency starts March 13th and it starts at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, March 13th. So I was always thinking it's like later in March, but I knew like the second week of March it typically starts. So really, what do I think about Tyron Smith not coming back to be a Dallas Cowboy? Honestly, when I first heard the report come out from me and Rappaport March 2nd, early in the morning, 9:54 in the morning, you know, he basically had said All-Pro and Pro Bowl tackle Tyron Smith and free agent, will be a free agent and is unlikely to return to Dallas. Really, I knew it was going to happen sooner rather than later. I felt, just for the simple fact that he was going to his last year of his deal and it was basically an incentive-based deal. And, you know, we hadn't really given him a contract during the season or at the tail end of the season after we had lost to Green Bay. I wasn't surprised that we didn't give him a contract, just by the way the Dallas Cowboys like to play hardball towards their players. I was always a big proponent of moving on from him years ago, and I started feeling like that once that Chaz Green, not completely moving on. Like, my thoughts on Tyron Smith went like this. The Tyron Smith game when he wasn't there, but Chaz Green was stepping in for him, and Dak Prescott got sacked 6 or 7 times against, I forgot his name. I think his name was Claiborne. I forgot his name. But I remember Chaz Green giving up like 6 or 7 sacks in a game. Like guys like not Tyron Smith, but guys like Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan. Like, think about all the Bruce Smith. Think about all the great edge rushers that played in the league prior and during that time. Didn't even get that many sacks in a game. And the fact that we let, that was his name, Adrian Claiborne. We let Adrian Claiborne come in and do that to us. But I was always like, we need a offensive tackle too, in case Tyron Smith can't go, that our offense doesn't look super putrid like it always does when he isn't there. Or we at that time, we couldn't move the ball, we couldn't run the ball, we couldn't do anything offensively under Jason Garrett when we missed a guy, especially a guy like Tyron Smith's caliber. We wasn't able to do anything. That's why I was always like, hey, get an offensive tackle too, whether it's a solid free agent veteran or a guy in day 2 or day 3 of the draft that can come in and be a solid offensive tackle for when Tyron Smith isn't there. Fast forward 2018 when he started missing more games, 2019 missing more games, 2020 the big year where that was just a colossus of a year, and it was just a tragedy of a year where Dak Prescott out for the year. You know, Trayvon Diggs wasn't, you know, he had a nice game against the Eagles, 2 picks, but he wasn't All-Pro yet. We didn't have Michael Parsons. Our defense was terrible. Offensive line went to shambles. Lel Collins was out for the season. So was Tyron Smith. We had Terrence Steele, who couldn't block nobody. That year. It was just a terrible year, but that year was the year I was saying in 2021 when we go into that draft that we must get a guy like Rashawn Slater to come in and take over for Tyron Smith. And the only reason why I'm upset that we're not going to, the reason why I'm upset that Tyron Smith is leaving is not because he's leaving, is because we don't really have a clear contingency plan for when he left. Yes, we did draft Tyler Smith in the 2022 draft class when we selected him in the first round, I believe 24th overall. And, you know, selecting him was a really great reason as to why we should have kept him at left tackle. But the Cowboys were hell-bent to keep him in at guard throughout the entirety of last year when, you know, he missed the Arizona game, when he missed the Rams game, when he missed one more. He missed the 3rd game. I forgot what it was. I know for sure it was those 2 games. So the Arizona game we lost. We blew out the Rams. And there was another game that he missed I'm trying to think about right now that he did. Oh, the Miami Dolphins game. That's a game that if we have a drafted left tackle or we kick Tyler Smith out the tackle, TJ Bass at guard, we possibly win that game. But, you know, I'm kind of upset that we're not going to bring him back because we never got a true guy to stick there at left tackle and was able to take over his place in case he was missing games, right? Tyler Smith did that, and I am now going to talk about in a little bit what the offensive lines could possibly look like with Tyron Smith leaving. But another thing I want to touch on was the whole contract dispute, right? And I believe that's what's going to happen. And if anybody that knows Tyron Smith, whether you met him in person, you saw him at the training camps, he's a guy that's very quiet. He's very to himself. He's just he is a show and prove it type of leader, lead by example. He's going to put in the hard work. He's going to play well, and you just lead and follow his lead, basically. Like, he doesn't have to say much. He just shows it with his play, right? But when a very quiet guy and news like this gets out where, the contract isn't going to get done, I mostly see this happening and him not coming back and returning as the Dallas Cowboy. But also, he did take a hometown discount, and when he signed his 10-year contract back in 2014, 2015, when he signed that 10-year contract, $100 million, he signed a very, very generous offer for the Dallas Cowboys, and they were able to push money aside and basically free up cap space to basically do nothing. But he signed a very generous deal, and he gave the Dallas Cowboys 10 years of free money, basically, because Tyron Smith should basically at this point be on his third big contract with the Dallas Cowboys at this point in his career. If he didn't sign that 10-year contract, he at least missed 2 contracts he could have gotten with 2 big deals. But I understand, if I'm going to take a hometown discount, I'd rather go do that in Kansas City, Cincinnati, San Francisco. I'd rather go do that in Detroit, or Baltimore, teams where I know that I can go to the Super Bowl. And I think the Chiefs can most likely use his services. And if he's going to ring chase, that's where I'm going to go block for the best quarterback in the league and go win a Super Bowl that way. But again, you can't do 2 things in the league. You can't take a hometown discount and be losing to a team that can't even make it to the NFC Championship game. Or if you are going to take less money, play for a team like Kansas City who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl every single year and that is competing for Super Bowls. That's what you need, and that's what you should be doing. You can't be broke and losing in the NFL at the same time. It's not going to happen. And yes, it happens on teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Panthers and Tennessee Titans and the Browns. Not saying the Browns are losing, but you know what I'm saying. You can't play for a losing organization and take a hometown discount. It doesn't work like that in the NFL. No matter what you do, right? So I do see him leaving. But the possible offensive lines combinations that's possibly going to happen if Tyron Smith doesn't return is this. We either kick Tyler Smith out to left tackle. You have left tackle Tyler Smith, left guard TJ Bass, center Brock Hoffman, because it's also reported that we're possibly not going to bring back Tyler Biadasz. Then you got Zach Martin. Then you got Terrence Steele. If you sign Tyler Biadasz, your offensive line could look like Tyler Smith at tackle, Bass at guard, Biadasz at center, Martin at guard, Steele at tackle. If we move on, not if we move on, but if we use pick 24 to use a tackle, right? We put left tackle, pick 24, left guard, Tyler Smith, center, Tyler Biadasz, if we, again, sign him to an extension, Zach Martin, Steele. Pick 24, Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, if we don't sign Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, Steele. Or your offensive line could look like this, where you go guard, you go Tyler Smith, pick 56 at center, pick 24 at tackle, Martin, Steele. If the Dallas Cowboys decide to double dip at first round and second round, or, the Dallas Cowboys could possibly go, pick 24 at tackle, or pick 24 at guard, Tyler Smith, Biadasz, Martin, Steele. Those are your possible offensive line combinations that I'm thinking about off the top of my head that the Dallas Cowboys could go. I think the most cheapest route can go Tyler, TJ Bass, Brock Hoffman, Martin, and Steele. If they feel like they can roll with that 5, which I feel comfortable with that 5. So with me not being comfortable with that 5, anything like that could happen. But again, if Tyron Smith does leave, I want him to go to a team that makes sense, like the Kansas City Chiefs, because he'll be way better of an upgrade over Donovan Smith for Kansas City Chiefs. So now when we're talking about Eric Kendricks, it's real simple with me. He used to play for the Minnesota Vikings, got drafted out of UCLA to the Minnesota Vikings by Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer is familiar with his game and everything of that nature. He's a very solid, number 2 linebacker. Number 2 linebacker, meaning he's like a Robin. You're going to need a Batman. You're going to need a guy like a Patrick Queen or Levante David, a Bobby Wagner, a Devin White. Isaiah Simmons, not saying he can be the one, but Isaiah Simmons can be a nice Lane Van Der Esch replacement if Lane Van Der Esch can't come back. I'm also thinking about, we already drafted DeMarvion Overshown, but of course you want to go sign, or not sign, but go draft a linebacker in the draft, whether that's day 2, whether that's the 2nd round or 3rd round, or we make some moves upon the roster. We get a 4th round pick and we draft a linebacker in the 4th round. However the case might be, we can pair it up like that. But Aaron Kendricks, being a Dallas Cowboy, for me, is kind of a no-brainer. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, he has ties with his defensive coordinator. You could bring in Eric Kendricks on a very solid, probably vet minimum deal. You're not going to sign him to a very big contract just because he hasn't shown anything yet in the past 2 to 3 years to warrant a big deal. So that's pretty much it on my thoughts about the Eric Kendricks signing. He's a very solid linebacker, like I said, a very solid running linebacker too. I love to pair him with a Patrick Queen or another very solid veteran linebacker like Devin White, or if you want to go cheaper, Shaq Leonard. If you want to go, if you want to trade for a guy like Kenneth Murray, if you want to go trade for some other linebackers out there that can possibly step in and bring us some great value at the linebacker position. But like I said, I'd rather go veteran at left tackle and defensive tackle, and not left tackle, but linebacker and defensive tackle. And really, I forgot also, I also wanted to add on about the point of Tyron Smith and how it messes up our draft board in April, is that if the Dallas Cowboys don't find a way to bring him back, and we're basically blank at left tackle and we're not going to move Tyler Smith out there, we are more than likely pigeonholing ourselves from not getting top talent in the draft like a Brian Thomas Jr., a Darius Robinson, D-end out of Missouri. If Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Bama is there, or if Kenyon Mitchell out of Toledo is there, or if a guy like Peyton Wilson, Edgerrin Cooper is there, you know, you're missing out on a lot of great talent if you're pigeonholing yourself to having and forcing yourself to take a left tackle if you don't take care of the Tyron Smith situation. I still would be taking a left tackle regardless, but now you're basically forcing yourself to take an offensive tackle instead of taking BPA throughout this draft. That's why it's weird to me that we're saying that we're all in, but this is an all-in move. This helps you get to where you want to go by needing a veteran guy like Tyron Smith who's used to the league and things of that nature. So again, Eric Kendricks being a Dallas Cowboy makes a lot more sense. And thankfully we don't have to trade for him since the LA Chargers released him. And now with Tyron Smith leaving, we have new offensive line combinations I already discussed about earlier in the video. Hopefully, if he doesn't resign, hopefully he goes signs with the Chiefs because they have the best chance to win a Super Bowl. And with Tyron Smith not being back, if he isn't retained back to the Dallas Cowboys, we are pigeonholing ourselves and possibly forcing ourselves to make a bad pick by having to draft for need instead of having to draft at 24 for best player available BPA. That's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.